Hey everyone, it's QuickyBaby and welcome back to World of Tanks, and the AE Phase 1 is finally in the game as the frontline reward for reaching the 10th prestige. Now, with Wargaming's boosters, it's half the time it requires you to be able to get through the prestige system inside the 30 versus 30 progressive game mode frontline. Can we call it progressive game mode? Maybe. I don't know about all of you, but sure, you get a lot of credits from it. Sure, it's nice that there's a new map, but really, I'm only playing it to be able to finally get it done because I feel like I've invested so much time, like hell, that I would want to be able to not get towards the AE Phase 1, right? In today's video, I'm going to very quickly tell you what the AE Phase 1 is and let you know about whether investing all of that time in the tank was worth it. Alright, so let's compare the AE Phase 1, which is a Tier 9 American reward heavy tank. Now, what does reward heavy tank mean? That means you can use all of your crews inside the vehicle, your American heavy tank crews, without penalty. But what it also means is that you're not going to be getting extra credits from playing the AE Phase 1, so don't think this is the first Tier 9 premium tank. You're going to be able to do good crew training, you're going to have the luxury of having all of your American heavy crews in it if you want to crew train your T-57 heavy or your T-110E5, but you're not going to be making fat credits. So it compares very well with the M103 and the Conqueror. So immediately we notice 120mm main armament, very, very similar to the M103 and the Conqueror with regards to its damage per minute, practically identical, although it does have a slight edge. The tank doesn't have special high explosive rounds, unlike the Conqueror, which gets 120mm of high explosive pen there, so one up for the British tank. It fires heat as its premium round with 340 compared to the Conqueror's 326 with the APCR, the same as the M103. The tank carries more ammunition than the other two tanks, which is nice, so you can take a few extra high explosive rounds to be able to splash on your opponents, but keep in mind they're not excellent penetration like on the Conqueror. Its gun handling is really where this tank feels a little bit awkward. 2.5 seconds aim time, you're definitely not snapshotting like a tier 10 tank would. And the accuracy of the vehicle is worse than the M103, which is definitely not great, and it's horrific compared to the Conqueror. I've missed so many shots in this tank when I've been sniping at decent distances. It's been incredibly frustrating to play the vehicle outside of a close range brawl or when you're firing over ridge lines against targets that are very, very close to you. Combine this with dispersion values which are worse than the Conqueror when moving, although much better than the M103, and better turret traverse, and it kind of balances out a little bit, but definitely doesn't even come close to the gun handling of the Conqueror. Now, the AE Phase 1 has better gun depression than the M103. It's 8 degrees, which is fantastic at 10. It's also got okay gun elevation at 15, but the Conqueror has the same gun depression as the AE Phase 1 as well. Alright, moving on. Mobility. Pretty much identical here for all of these vehicles. They're not fast, they're not slow. They're not going to move around like a super heavy tank, but they're definitely not going to get into position like a medium tank would. So the hull armor on the AE Phase 1, the hull armor is a bit of a weirdo. Like, take a look at the hull armor of this tank. The front is just so flat on the lower plate. The upper plate, on the other hand, is actually very well angled indeed. It is a very long tank, as I'm going to be showing you in the gameplay in just a minute. And the turret side, oh, it's just absolutely horrendous. This is a very easy tank to be able to hit from the side. So unless its armor is fantastic, yeah, it's not going to be bouncing many shots. And yeah, the armor on the hull, it's okay, but you're never really bouncing off the lower plate. It can side scrape a little bit, but the side is so flat and it's not bow-shaped like what I feel the M103 is, or the M48 pattern if you like the tier 10 medium tank. You're not really bouncing unless you know you were going to bounce anyway. The turret armor, however, on this tank is the fantastic aspect of it. The turret armor, apart from the cupola that you see on top here, is just phenomenal, and you are going to be bouncing your opponents for days using this tank, a lot like you would do with the Conqueror, and the turret armor is just so much better than the M103. The view range on the vehicle is 390, and it gets lower hit points than its two competitors. And that's really all there is to say about the AE Phase 1, apart from a couple of little perks that the tank has. So let's just jump straight into the gameplay of the AE Phase 1, and I can show you where the vehicle, maybe the statistics are lying, and maybe there are some hidden features of the vehicle that are actually really good, right? So immediately you'll notice with the model, there are two really, really cool things about the AE Phase 1. Firstly, I guess it's a reward vehicle, so it's good crew training. Actually, three good things. The reward vehicles are always nice to have because you can just crew train your T-57 Heavy while playing a different kind of playstyle. Always very fun to have. The second cool thing about the tank is the fact that it has these 4 sets of tracks. That's 2 sets of tracks on either side of the tank. It doesn't impact the gameplay of the vehicle at all, but at least it looks cool, so it's definitely a nice little perk for having played frontline, that you feel that you've got something extra for investing your time into. The other cool thing about the tank is a unique repair kit. The repair kit that I have on my 4 key, which you can move to any key of your choosing, I recommend to have it on your 5 key. Why is that? Because when you use a small repair kit, then you press 5-5 to repair your tracks. For me, it's incredibly awkward. I have to press 4-5. Much slower, much worse. Don't be like me. Don't be like a dinosaur. Put your repair kits, even your small ones, on your 5 key and not your 4 key like me. Do as I say, not as I do. Gosh darn it. Alright, so the large repair kit on this tank is actually free. It's completely free. It's reusable in the battle. It doesn't cost you credits after the battle. So that's the equivalent of getting 10,000, or I guess now 15,000 credits for free pretty much every single battle, because every single heavy tank battle you're pretty much repairing the tank at least once. Why do you say 10,000 or 15,000, QuickyBaby? What are you talking about? What I'm talking about is recently, the last couple of events, Wargaming have not actually discounted consumables by half. They've only discounted them by 25%. So maybe that is the new standard now, and premium consumables are actually going to cost 15,000 credits rather than 10,000 credits. Whether that is going to be something they're testing or something they want to go through with, it needs to be seen. Whether this is going to be, like Wargaming's new set standard for large repair kits. But if it is, then saving those 15,000 credits, it's definitely significant, and it kind of makes this vehicle more like a premium tank. So even though the vehicle isn't a premium tank, it's not going to be making you huge amounts of credits, at least your consumable resupply is going to be oh so much cheaper, or you just have the extra perk of not using a small repair kit in the tank, and you get the full bonus of a large repair kit, and it doesn't even cost you anything. Great stuff there. I think it's a fun way for Wargaming to make reward vehicles feel a little bit more special without just making them incredible for credit income. And we haven't quite seen a tier 9 reward vehicle, well, premium tank, yet, at least in the game. Yet, I say. I'm sure that one day Wargaming will probably do it. Another thing about this large repair kit, and this is something that a lot of you free-to-players might not know, that large repair kits actually improve the repair speed of your tank. A large repair kit will improve the repair speed of your tank by 10%. But this repair kit, this special one that is free, only on the AE Phase 1, and it's the most novel thing about the tank, actually increases your repair speed by 15%. Well, it improves it by 15%. It means that you're going to get your tracks back on 15% faster. So that's a 5% better repair speed than the 10% bonus that you would get from a regular large repair kit. And so, yeah, pretty cool, right? It's a nice little perk to have on the vehicle. Now, I pushed aggressively here to be able to shut down the tank that I thought was going to be able to one-shot me, but in retrospect, I didn't realize there was going to be a Jagdtiger around the corner and a Stridsvagn 103B, and so I guess I could consider myself lucky that I managed to get out of that situation with all of my hit points intact. How often do you see tank destroyers sitting all the way at the back there? Not very often for me. I mean, the T-28 position, that's a given. Sometimes maybe you'll have them here. Possibly I was thinking most of the TDs were going to be in this location or kind of messing about on the mounds. But that's really all of the special features of the AE Phase 1. Don't know how that one went in against the T-28, but I'll take it. And all in all, really, the vehicle feels like a very average Tier 9 heavy tank. Sure, it's got a good turret. If you sit in front of your opponent, you're still going to do well. But the cupola has been taking round after round after round, and it's also incredibly frustrating because you will get spotted over ridge lines way before you actually get spotted or before you're going to have a chance to be able to shoot your opponents. Think the 59 pattern. If anyone's played the Tier 8 Chinese premium medium tank, the 59 pattern with that awful extended machine gun port / mini turret on top of the tank, it means that you get spotted, but also you can spot over ridge lines with ease. It's bizarre to me that this tank doesn't have something like 400 or 410 meters view range if you've got such a prominent cupola on top of the vehicle, and it definitely holds the tank back. It means that you will not be able to react as quickly, or shall I say ambush your opponents as easily when you go over a ridge line, and they will easily be able to spot you and pre-aim for you, or even just shoot most likely a heat round into the meaty cupola that the tank has. Just everything about the vehicle, I have to admit. I've talked about all of the flashy features of the tank, but everything else just feels so normal, so positively lackluster, so balanced. So I guess we've got to say good job to Wargaming for that they've actually put a reward vehicle in the game that is not just flat out crazy OP and has enough differences with the tank that it still makes it feel at least a little bit special, or just more of a collector's item in your garage. However, I would argue that collector's items are not often the most fun tanks to play, and this vehicle, I just don't really get too much from it. Sure, the tracks look a little bit different, but do you really care if your tank looks a little different if it doesn't actually impact the gameplay? Sure, it's nice to have a free repair kit, but it doesn't... I'm not thinking during the battle, oh, I get to save 15,000 credits when I repair this track. I'm thinking, oh gosh, gotta repair the tracks and get around this corner as quickly as I can. You're not thinking, oh, I managed to repair my tracks 5% quicker because I have that little bonus, the 15% bonus instead of 10% bonus, so that actually saved me in that scenario. No, you're kind of thinking like, oh, quickly, I've got to get around the corner as fast as I can to be able to take out the tank that's in front of me, right? The bonuses that this tank has, i.e. the crew training, i.e. the tracks, i.e. the slight improvements to the repair kit or the economic advantage of having a free repair kit, just doesn't really do it for me in the battle. I'm not thinking about that. And sure, this tank, you could say, oh, it's really good hull down. It's really good hull down, but when you have accuracy like that, oh, it hurts. It hurts so much when you're missing the broadside of a defender at pretty much about 300 meters, boys and girls. It's disgusting. And then you decide, because of the poor accuracy of the tank, you have to start dabbing the 2 key to be able to compensate for the poor accuracy and start firing premium rounds at tier 8 premium heavy tanks, and you're thinking, wait a minute, this isn't right. Finally one goes in. That was about 10,000 credits that I spent there on heat ammunition to do that 456 damage. It just doesn't feel quite right. Ugh, bouncing about 5,000 credits off the top of his armor. Ugh, that feels even worse, right? And the thing is that there's already a tank just like this in the game. The Conqueror. Sure, the Conqueror has a cupola on top. I'd say the Conqueror has worse hull armor than this tank. But the Conqueror's gun is just so much more reliable, has access to those awesome HESH rounds, and has premium APCR rounds, which maybe are a little bit worse at long ranges for just derping through thick, flat armor. But I feel with the enhanced accuracy and the way that I'm going to be able to aim, the Conqueror is just an absolute solid beast of a tank at tier 9, and an incredible beast at tier 10, right? You're playing a tier 9 vehicle that leads on to a tier 10. Sure, I guess you're not going to have the enhanced crew training. Sure, you're not going to have the improved repair kit on the tank. And I guess you're not having a unique vehicle that looks special, but I'd rather play the Conqueror. I really would. I think the Conqueror is a better tank than this vehicle. I think that there are definitely going to be people who play this tank exceptionally. I'm in no way saying that it's a bad tank. It's a competitive vehicle at tier 9, but it's just not quite fun. It's not quite fun for me. Maybe some of you out there who have got the AE Phase 1 would let me know in the comments. Has this been one of your most fun tanks that you've been able to play, or has just the sheer gargantuan size of the tank, as we could see there when we zoomed out? Will we hit this round? Yay, we hit one! Look at the length of the vehicle. Isn't that one of the easiest tanks you've ever seen to hit? And apart from the slight curvature on this round ball-shaped turret, it almost looks like it's a T-54E1, right? It doesn't really ricochet anything. And this whole thing at the back counts as a hitbox on the tank as well. It just feels as if it's a little bit awkward. And it's so close to being fun, but just for me, was it worth the hundreds of hours that I've sunk into Frontline? Ugh. If I hated Frontline every step of the way, and if Frontline was not a rewarding game mode, which gave me millions and millions and millions of credits, and also a huge amount of crew training, yeah, his tank would probably be a little bit of a disappointment. So that was our race tanker in the AE Phase 1. We get a high caliber medal for 1,390 base experience, 4,800 damage, and 3,000 upon detecting. Looks like we were giving our artillery some shells. And even though our repair kit was free, we only made 8,000 credits profit with the premium account, and we would have lost credits if we hadn't. Why? Because I really feel that with the terrible accuracy of this tank, look at that, 24 hits, 13 pens, and 24 out of 30 hits, even though I felt like my marksmanship wasn't that bad this game. It was just purely the terrible accuracy of the tank that held it back from being accurate. It's kind of not a cheap tank to play, even though it should be a cheap tank to play, purely because of that horrendous accuracy. Unless you're in a very nice matchup for the tank and you're shooting at tier 7s or tier 8s, or you're getting the broadsides of Yag Tigers and hopefully the broadsides of Moisions, then it does feel a little bit awkward. Nevertheless, this tank, I guess I should say congrats to Wargaming for giving us a fun reward. Fun, maybe not the word fun, for giving us a reward tank that is novel with regards to the tracks, the repair kit, and the fact that we can use it as a crew trainer. Things that are disappointing about this tank is that statistically it's just so darn similar to the Conqueror. It does make the M103 look bad, just shows that the Conqueror is a great tier 9 heavy tank and it's a very solid vehicle to play. I would rather play the Conqueror, and I think that's where Wargaming have got a bit of an issue with this tank, that while it outclasses the M103 in pretty much every single way, the Conqueror is just a big step up over it. I would have actually liked to see Wargaming deviate the AE Phase 1 a little bit more from the Conqueror, maybe giving it higher alpha damage, but giving it worse DPM, made it a bit of a kind of like a hold down alpha damage dealer. Maybe give it 440 alpha, but obviously lower the rate of fire significantly to the point where maybe the DPM was at 2000, but had 440 alpha to make it feel like a special 120mm Ridgeline tank at tier 9 heavy. Kind of works at tier 10, maybe it'll work to tier 9. Just feels like a missed opportunity to make it statistically different from the Conqueror, or to give it a different kind of role. Maybe that's why it's been a little bit disappointing for me. But also, I think Wargaming, great job for considering the balance of your reward vehicles. I think the last thing that anybody wants is for the more and more overpowered reward vehicles to go into the game, because it just destroys the game. Reward vehicles should be just as good, if not worse, than their regular counterparts, because the best and most dedicated players are going to get them, and of course the best and most dedicated players are the most dangerous ones to have in vehicles which are just too good, right? Anyway, the AE Phase 1. Is it worth it? How much do you enjoy not playing World of Tanks? If you've got quite a few things that you like doing, then maybe not. Do you really love Frontline? Well, just consider this to be a little bit of a free bonus. If you don't love Frontline, and you don't care about all of the credits that you receive from playing it, you know what, I probably wouldn't bother, boys and girls. Anyway, that's it for today, ladies and gents. Hopefully you enjoyed this one. If you did, give it a thumbs up. But if you hated it, give it a thumbs down. And if you're watching this video as it's released on Sunday, it's time for another World of Tanks Tech Tree Showcase on twitch.tv/QuickyBaby. And this week, 658 of you have voted, and most of you want to see the T-57 Heavy, which won by a single vote, only beating the Mouse by a single vote. Can you imagine if you had been out there and you wanted to see the Mouse, and you had followed me on Twitter or Facebook, you would have been able to vote, and I'd be playing the Mouse instead right now on twitch.tv/QuickyBaby. Anyway, so come along right now if you want to check out the entirety of the American Autoloading Heavy line, which actually has light tanks, medium tanks, a whole variety of vehicles. It's probably one of the best lines if you want to go up to be able to get some of the personal missions done in the game, actually. But more on that later. Or alternatively, if you already have the tanks, maybe just come and pick up a few tips and tricks along the way. And so I'm really looking forward to seeing as many of you as possible right now on twitch.tv/QuickyBaby. And finally, talking about Twitch, I'm going to TwitchCon. I'm going to be flying to San Diego. Maybe I'll see you there. And if you can't make it, I'm going to be streaming next week on Friday and Sunday, unless things change. And it'll be at the regular kind of time. So maybe I'll do a special American Tech Tree Showcase from America next week. Who knows? Maybe something to look forward to. Anyway, that's it. Hopefully have fun. Have a great weekend. Hopefully I'll see you soon.